I've had years where my goals were modest and I've had years where my goals are bigger. But one way I look at this is dreams. There's dreams and there's goals. And dreams are inspiring. You got your dreams, which are inspiring, and that you have your goals that move you forward. Goals are not inspiring typically.
Welcome back to Spicy Takes and Tax Breaks. I'm Aubree Denekamp, the write-off queen, and today we're having a conversation that a lot of people skip, but everyone eventually ends up needing. We talk a lot about income on this channel, a lot about tax strategy, and more so even about optimizing those numbers into a plan. But what happens after you fully understand your finances? Because knowing your numbers is only one part of the whole entire picture here. What actually determines freedom is what you build around those numbers long term. Today's episode is about owner level thinking, not hustle culture, not hype or some sort of shortcut you've heard online, but the systems, discipline, and mindset that is required to create income that doesn't depend on constant effort. Joining me today is Jordan Adler, the author of Beach Money and someone who has spent decades studying and living what it takes to build residual income the right way. Jordan's story is unique and it's definitely not an overnight success, but it's about persistence, consistency, and building something that is going to sustain. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you, Aubree. It's great to be here on your show.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Where are you at today?
I am at my mountain home in Jerome, Arizona. It's an old mining town up here, just west of Sedona. In fact, I can see Sedona from my deck, and I've had this home for 26 years, and it's just a little escape, a little retreat.
That's incredible. Well, yeah, tell us a little bit about your story. I don't know if many of our guests know you yet.
Yeah, so I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago in a lower middle income family. My dad made $28,000 a year at his peak, and I have two sisters, and we would take one family vacation a year where it was a driving vacation. I wasn't on an airplane until I was in my late teens, early 20s. And I always was wired as an entrepreneur. My family was not, I didn't grow up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad worked jobs all of his life. He had a little business in his later years, but for the most part, everybody around me were people that were job mindset. When I graduated from college, I actually, my dad saved his entire life for each one of us to go to college for 1 year, and we were required to graduate. So we had to figure out how to pay for the next 3 years. And so I worked as a resident advisor and a night clerk and made enough money to pay for my tuition and my room and board and didn't take out any loans. And when I graduated from college with a degree in landscape architecture, I knew one person in Arizona, and I had $250, a guitar and a suitcase, and I moved at the age of 21. Right out of college, I moved to Arizona, and it was a struggle for a really long time. I worked lots of different jobs. I was in the airline industry for 13 years. I started off as a customer service person in a startup airline that had one plane, and we grew into $1 billion airline. I did landscape architecture for a couple of years. Drafting, it sounds more impressive than it is. Truthfully, it was it just didn't pay very much money. It sounds good when you got architect in your title, but it didn't pay much money. And I was living in a little studio apartment on Hardy and University, and my rent was, I think, $145 a month, something like that. Anyway, during all this time, I started dabbling in entrepreneurial things. And a lot of it was in network marketing. So I got involved in 11 network marketing companies in 10 years, never made a penny, never signed anybody up, never sold anything. It was horrible. But I had a dream. I'd read a book that I'd picked up at a garage sale for 25 cents when I was in my early 20s called The Basics. And it was by a guy named Don Failla. And it talked about residual income. It talked about getting paid over and over and over again for working one time. And I like that idea. There's lots of ways to do that. You can buy rental real estate. You can buy vending machines. You can save up $1 million or a couple $1 million and live off the interest. So there's lots of different ways to do it. Network marketing is another way for somebody who doesn't have a lot of money and has the time and is willing to learn and grow. And so my 12th company, I was living in an enclosed garage. I was 34 years old. right not far from Millen University in Tempe,
Okay.
kind of across from Gamage. I was in a house. I had two roommates that lived in the house, and I lived in the garage. My rent was $200 a month. So at 34 years old, I was $36,000 in credit card debt. My job paid me $14,000 a year. I was living in a garage,
Uh,
and I joined my 12th network marketing company. And in that company, I finally cracked the code. And within about 3 years, I was flying on private jets and staying in beautiful, the highest end resorts all over the world and building a worldwide business that made me millions of dollars. And that was my 12th company in my 11th, well, between my 11th and my 14th year is when things really took off. And I was in my mid 30s at the time. And
that's
so, yeah.
incredible. I love that story. But so what took 12 companies? What cracked the code?
Yeah, so I was involved in a telecom network marketing company, a grocery coupon network marketing company. I was in the company that everyone's heard, Amway. I never made any money in any of these. Nashika 3D cameras, a travel club. It really had nothing to do. It had very little to do with the company. It didn't have to do with the people that got me involved. It didn't have to do with the leadership. It had to do with me. And I made a decision that changed everything for me. Here's what would happen. I'd get involved. Like, this is what most people do, and this is what I would do. Get involved in a company, pay the money to get involved, buy some of the product, start talking to people about it. They would be negative or would shut me down, and I would quit. 2 or 3 months in, I would quit. And I did. And then, 6, 8 months later, I joined another company, and I did that over and over and over again. And I kept hearing and reading that you can't build a successful business quitting. And that was my pattern, is get involved, do it for a few months, and then when I'm not making any money, quit. And that's what everybody does. And I just made a conscious decision that in my 12th company, I'm never ever going to quit on a bad day, because everybody quits on a bad day.
Yep.
And I'm never going to quit on a bad day. So I had lots of bad days in my first 3 years. In fact, my 12th company, on my 7th month, my first 7 months, I made zero. This is my 12th
Okay.
company. So I already broke through that barrier because I always quit the other ones 2 or 3 months in. Now I'm 7 months in and not making money. On my 8th month, I made $180. And
Okay.
then by the end of my second year, I was making like $2,400 a month, which was way less than my expenses. By the end of my third year, between my 33rd month and my 40th month, I broke out over $34,000 a month. And
Wow.
I went on to make $80,000 a month, which was over $1 million a year between my fourth and my sixth year. Things really took off. And it, every time I had a big, what most people would consider to be an insurmountable obstacle, something that would shut most people down, it
Yeah.
felt bad. I wanted to climb into bed and not get out of bed. It was horrible. There were some really tough things that I went through that most people wouldn't have weathered those storms. But I had just made a conscious decision that I was never going to quit on a bad day. And I was never going to quit on a bad week. And I was never going to quit on a bad month. As long as you stay in action, as long as you stay in motion, something good's going to happen. And that's what happened. And the result of that is now I've been in business for myself on lots of different projects, including network marketing since I was 34, 35 years old when I started making money. And now I'm 68. And
That's
I turned 68.
incredible.
I turned 68 in March. It's been an unbelievable fantasy life for me. Like, the life that I live it's a dream life. And it comes as a result of focusing on a business model that pays residual income. It's not just about what I do, but it's what I start. And people that they work hard and they stick with it and they align themselves with business vehicles that throw off passive income over time. It takes time, but at some point it frees you up. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. One is you could build a business that's saleable. You could scale it and then sell it and then live off the income from that business after you sell it. You can save up 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or $5 million and live off the interest. You can just develop a cash value in life insurance and then turn that cash value into an annuity that pays you every month. there's a lot of different ways to do it. One of the things that I chose to do was network marketing, because you get paid on the work of other people and you don't have to hire those people. They're independent, and you get a cut of everything they do. So if you can put in 5 hours a week and you can find one other person that can put in 5 hours a week, you're now benefiting from 10 hours worth of work a week, and you're only putting in 5. And then if you can
Yeah.
find a couple more people that can put in 5 hours a week, and maybe they find a couple people that can put in 5 hours a week, and it's all about getting customers. All of these people that you're recruiting are getting customers. Those customers are using your service, and you're getting a residual income off the use of that service. It's always about the service. It's not about getting paid off recruiting. You don't get paid off recruiting. You get paid off of building a distribution channel, kind of like placing vending machines. So if you can
Yeah.
imagine having 100 vending machines, and you're getting paid from the sale of that product. So that's the model that I chose to align myself with. And it took me many years, but I finally cracked the code.
That's incredible. So do you have to, or do you choose to support the people who are working under you to make that magic work? Or is it just more the volume of how many people you have involved?
That's a really great question. And you can lean on luck, which is not a great strategy, meaning that you could just sign up a lot of people and hope that somebody takes off, or you could develop leaders through systems, through training and education, through coaching. And so I'm very active with my new consultants in helping them get started in their business and make sure that they're comfortable with using the systems that we have in place. Like McDonald's has a system, Subway has a system, and they train their team members to plug into that system, and that's why it works. So it's the same thing.
I think that's incredible because I work with business owners all day long, and that's one of the biggest, and I think one of the hardest things, because there's a million different resources, all kind of in a different format and how they want you to approach it. But a lot of people are operating as an employee versus as a leader, and the whole thing is to create more leaders with underneath you, and it's incredible, but it's not an easy task. It's one of the tasks I struggle with the most is how do you spread yourself so thin sometimes, but also have the time to motivate and basically it's not really motivation, it's more following the discipline that you put in place to create those systems and then stand behind them. And do you have any tips or tricks on that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And in our business, it's a volunteer workforce, meaning that nobody has to be there. It's not like when somebody hires you for a job and you're getting paid every week for your work, and then you're not gonna most likely quit on a whim because you're getting paid and it pays your bills. In our business, it's real easy for somebody to quit. Especially if they don't have a lot of skin in the game. I mean, they're not getting paid unless they do the work, unless they create
Yeah,
the
it's
business.
it's not, it's not like back on Avon where you buy all the product and just sit on it and then have to find it. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So tell
So
us a little bit about what your specific market is.
what my specific market did you say?
Yeah, like what is it that you network market?
Oh, yeah, yeah, and but I'll tell everybody. Yeah. So we have a system. It's called Send Out Cards. That's our technology. The name of our company is Promptings, where you can jump on your computer or your iPad or your phone, and you can send physical, personal cards in the mail with a click of a button. So you create the card on your phone. You can add pictures. You type your text, change the font, write whatever you want, have your brand on the back of the card, and then you hit the send button, and the card is at the post office the next morning. And so our company has sent out almost 300 million cards. And that's our customer base has sent out those cards, thank you cards and get well cards and gratitude cards, lots of gratitude cards. A lot of people know this intuitively, but they're not consciously aware of it all the time. Is that when you send gratitude out into your network, when you send gratitude to the people that you know, the people that you meet, the people that do business with you, when you do that every day, that comes back to you, and it comes back to you tenfold. But most people miss that. We live in a world where everybody's out to get business, and it's all about what am I going to get, not what am I going to give. So the entrepreneurs that shift their focus from what am I going to get to what am I going to give, their businesses grow far beyond the ones that are all about gimme, gimme, gimme. I want the business. And so that part of adding value is acknowledging other people, appreciating other people, congratulating other people, all those things that we can do for other human beings that will lift them up and make them feel great about what they're doing, which ultimately comes back to you. And when you send positive cards out to the people that do business with you or the people that could do business with you, if you do that 2 or 3 times a year, when they're ready to do business, they think of you first. And that's what you want. You want a community of people that when they're ready to do business, they think of you and no one else, because no one else sends them cards and gifts. So you're in front of them. And we have a saying, you've heard me say it a million times, Aubree. The reason that this works is because emails don't make the refrigerator.
Well, and it's so impactful. It's true. And emails are so inundated. I mean, I get over 500 a day just in one inbox. And I've gotten several cards from you, but I've been really trying to implement this with all of my clients. And it is, you are thinking about it, you end up on the fridge, their kids know you. It's something that's constantly being thought
Yes.
about. And without even meaning to do it, you're expanding your network in a way you would not be doing otherwise. But you also feel good about it. It's one of those things where I feel good about sending a gift card. It's fun, and there is that digital point too. So if you want to do it same day you meet someone, and this was a great meeting, here's my information and a gift card for next coffee's on me or whatever that is, it's so instant and it's easy. I think it's
Yeah.
incredible though. So how do you get people
Yeah.
to like shift from that, from focusing on building their time and trading their time for money versus actually investing in kind of more of that long-term productivity?
Yeah, I don't really think it's I think it's more about awareness, just making people aware, because a lot of times people, here's what happens. They reach, it's a pain point. They, like you were talking about, they reach a pain point where they're just spinning their wheels. They're working harder and harder and not making any progress at all in their life, right? And the older we get, the more aware of that we become, because we become more in tune to our mortality. You know, we're getting closer to death the older we get, right? Our
Yeah.
shorter and shorter amount of time left to live. And some people have kids and they're thinking about their kids and not spending enough time with their family and all those kinds of things. So it's really more about awareness. And it's not just network marketing. It's all entrepreneurs. You know, it's a trap, because in most business, the more successful you become, the busier you become.
Yeah.
So the goal has to be, if you want to free yourself up, putting systems into place, and that typically involves technology and people, putting systems into place that will free you up or make your business more saleable, right? So because
Absolutely.
it doesn't always have to do with you. If your hands have to be in it all the time in order for it to succeed, then you're never going to be free. And the bigger you get, the less free you're going to be. So if you want to have a beach money lifestyle, in order to have a beach money lifestyle, you must have systems and people in place that allow you to step back and give them the power to run the business. You oversee it, but give them the power to run the business and let them have the bulk of the rewards. That frees you up.
Yeah. And what do you say to someone who's like, okay, I tried that, and each time I like open the leash a little bit, I get burned, so I pull it back tenfold. I see
Yeah.
that a lot happen. People are like, I tried Aubree, but I'm like, it's similar to that consistency. It's so needed. But how do you find the people and the systems that helped you at the beginning, or were there huge mistakes that you had to kind of encounter to get there?
You're always making mistakes and you're always investing in things that don't pan out. Like I made a video and put it on TikTok and Instagram this weekend. Actually, I think it was yesterday I put it up, that, talked about all the investments that I've made over the years. And it's the same thing. You don't know, you get better. The more you do it, you get better at defining specifically what it is you need or what you're looking for, that puts you in a better position, puts them in a better position to succeed with you, although you don't know. And, there's a philosophy out there that's been trained by a lot of very successful people, that you want to overhire and then just the people that aren't working out, let them go and keep the ones that are really good. Because if you don't recruit enough people, whether it be in any business, if you don't recruit enough people, it's hard to find the really good ones. So that's one thing. And then also have a professional development program in place that will keep your people inspired and excited about their future. The reason people stick around in a company is because um, a they do well with the team, but
Hmm.
also they see a brighter future for themselves, either within your company or outside your company. Let me give you an example, a specific example. I had a boss when I was still working jobs. I worked jobs for 17 years before I had a successful business that was growing.
Okay.
And this is very unusual. He had a big department. He had 600 people working for him. And he told me, he saw promise in me, and I was very young. I was in my 20s. And he
Yeah.
said, "Jordan, your job is to replace yourself." And that's very unconventional thinking in a traditional work environment. So it would be like, Aubree, if you said to one of your employees, your job is to replace yourself, your job is to get so good at what you do that I can give you the opportunity to.
That's what people think, though. I see that all the time too.
But they think that if they train somebody to do what they do, then they're out of a job. But what that
But
does
they're
is that
not. They're
makes them more.
providing so much value. Yeah.
Right. It makes them more valuable. Exactly. Exactly. And he taught me that. And that's what I do now. My job is to replace myself. I'm looking for people that I can, but for every two steps I take, they got to at least take one.
Yeah.
If I take two steps and they don't take any steps, or if they're moving backwards, I can only do that for so long, you know?
Yeah.
And we try and give people everything they need to succeed, all the tools and the training and the education and the opportunities to collaborate with other people and all those things. But even so, sometimes it's just not a good fit.
Yeah. And that's hard. I
Yeah.
know personally, like, I definitely, it's kind of like breaking up with a boyfriend or a girl. It's you, I get so invested in my employees. I'm like, okay, if I just take an extra 5 steps, maybe they'll take another two. Like, maybe we'll get there. And
Yeah.
I definitely don't pull the plug on things as fast. And that can also be a huge detriment long term, too. So, something to think about. I've also found personality really matters. Like the energy you have around can really change something, even if they're not necessarily doing something incorrect or the skill level is kind of there. So, just different things to think about. And I think the industry definitely makes a difference there, but I'm sure specifically in what you do.
And culture is very important. You know, you've got to really kind of be clear on what, like, who you are as a company and who you are as a leader that communicates that culture, that philosophy through your organization. Every company has a culture. Some companies have a culture of being very aggressive and very fast moving. Some people have a culture of really caring about their employees. Like Richard Branson, perfect example. When you think of the Virgin companies, they're all the culture of the Virgin companies that they're very creative, they're very fun. So Richard, when he interacts with his employees, and it's all about fun and it's all about community and it's all about doing good in the world and thinking outside the box. That's the
Yeah.
culture of the Virgin companies. Likewise, Herb Kelleher, who started Southwest Airlines. I mean, if you've been on Southwest Airlines in the past, when he was still around, the flight attendants used to joke around with the customers, and some of them still do. But that was part of Herb Kelleher's style. Herb Kelleher was all about no frills, keep it simple, um, get people to their destinations fast, you know, all those kinds of things, efficiency. So every company has a culture, and you have to define as a leader what your culture is. Like we have a
Yep.
culture of giving. We have a culture of giving without expecting anything in return. You know, we have a culture of gratitude. Our employees, we have a culture of love. So our employees love their company. They do. They love their
Yeah.
company.
When they
Yeah.
should. And I'm sure they work so much harder because of that. Like I know for myself, when I feel good or am feeling appreciated even by my own like energy and self, it makes a huge difference in the effort and the results I'm able to put out versus when I'm like depressed, feeling down, oh, nothing's good, like whatever that is. The brain and what we can do with that is pretty incredible over mindset.
Yeah.
Any big mistakes where you're like, oh gosh, I wish I would never have done this, or this mistake really did shape where I'm at today?
A lot of them. But I used to have people come to me, Aubree, and say, "What are your biggest regrets?" Same question, basically. What are your regrets? And I always would say, you know, I really don't have any regrets because I wouldn't be where I am today. I mean, I have a lot. I, like most entrepreneurs, have had a lot of failures on their journey. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that. But then I realized there's one thing, real specifically, that, and this is what my video was about. Uh, when you start making money, you think you're smart. And it might take you a long time to get there, or maybe not. You might be 21 years old and making $1 million a year as an influencer. Doesn't really matter. At some point, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
At some point, things are going to go
Yeah.
south. And but once you start making money, you're good. You find out you're good at one thing. You're good at making money doing that one thing, but you think you're smarter than you are. And when you start making money and other people know it because you're driving a nicer car, or you're living in a nicer neighborhood, or you're taking wild fun trips, people come to you because they see your lifestyle, and they want you to invest in stuff because they know you have money. So you start getting presented with a lot of opportunities to invest. Tech companies, real estate companies, AI, all this stuff that people come to you with, movies, restaurants. And that happened to me. And I had made $8 million over a period of years, and I paid my taxes and lived off about 4 million of it. The other 4 million, I thought I was Mr. Shark Tank. This is why most entertainers and most professional athletes, many of them, go broke.
Yeah.
The reason they go broke is because everybody knows they're making a lot of money. And so they all get presented with all these opportunities, and they start throwing money, 40,000 here, 100,000 here, 250,000 here, 500,000 here, investing in these different projects that are going to make them even richer than they already are.
Yeah.
And what you find out is you're not very good as an investor. You're great at making money doing what you do, playing football or performing on stage or making albums or whatever it is, or in my case, building a network marketing business. And so I did that. I invested $4 million in investments over a period of 15, 20 years, and I lost all of it. I was in probably 40 different opportunities, lost all of it. And then I made a decision that I should have done what I was told to do when I was in my 20s, which I didn't do. My dad used to tell me to do it. All the investment books tell you to do it, but most entrepreneurs that grow fast don't. And that is just take 10% of your income, no matter what it is. If you make $100, take $10. If you make $1,000, take $100. If you make $10,000, take $1,000, and put it into a conservative, long-term investment, and don't touch it no matter what. Now, I'm not talking about AI. I'm not talking about crypto. That's not a conservative long-term investment. That's very volatile. I'm talking about something
Like a Fidelity account, just something basic.
Yeah, something very simple that you could just put the money in and forget about it. And no matter what, no matter how bad things get, you don't ever touch that money. Then you find yourself with millions of dollars in your 50s and 60s if you do that. There are a few people that do. I didn't. But my second time around, which for the past almost 25 years now, I've been doing that. And the difference is night and day. If I had done that the first time around, I would have an extra $20 million in an account.
Isn't that
But
wild
instead,
to think about?
I blew it all. Instead of doing the 10%, I blew it all on these speculative startups, of which you've read it before. 99% of them don't even last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. Well, that's actually really good insight, though. So, do you have, or did you ever have in your life, do you now, that big end goal or a why? Have you hit it yet?
I'm always resetting my goals. I've had years where my goals were modest, and I've had years where my goals are bigger. But one way I look at this is dreams. There's dreams and there's goals, and dreams are inspiring. So most people stop dreaming as soon as they think that their dreaming is futile, meaning that it's like, why dream? Because I know I'm never going to get there.
Yeah.
That's a bad place to be. And usually at some point, if you have 1 or 2 bad years or down years, or you lose a job or your business fails or whatever, you kind of give up on your dreams. But you got your dreams, which are inspiring, and that you have your goals that move you forward. Goals are not inspiring typically. Like, let's say the dream is for me and my significant other to sit on the couch and watch a movie. I'm just using this as an example. To watch a movie and eat popcorn without the kids, let's just say. All right.
Okay.
And that's the dream. The goal is to buy the popcorn, put it in the microwave, figure out what movie,
To get us.
those kinds of things. Those aren't inspiring as much as the dream, right? So you want to have dreams. You want to have 2 or 3 things or 4 things that you put out in front of you that are going to get you excited about your next year working towards them. And I do that every year. So, some years it's just refresh my wardrobe. Some years it's learn to fly helicopters. Some years it's take a trip to South America, whatever it is, So you want to keep some things out there that even that you may not believe, like it's okay to not believe in your dreams when you write them down. It's okay. Your subconscious mind will go to work. That while you're sleeping to take you to the resources and the people necessary to help you fulfill your dreams. If you know what they are.
Yeah, you're planting that seed. And you're right. How do you get to
Exactly.
a destination walking aimlessly? You don't.
Right.
But that's also
Yeah.
kind of the magic and fun behind it is the dreaming part. And I think you're right. I think a lot of us get so, myself included, stuck in the day to day that we're not constantly dreaming or remembering what our dream is to begin with. So I think that's actually a really good reminder. I like that.
Yeah.
So, any
Uh,
fun trips? You said March is your birthday. Any fun trips coming up before we hop off?
yeah. So, well, I take, I have a group of friends and we once or twice a year we meet in New Orleans, and that's all we do is we smoke cigars and go to Cafe Du Monde and listen to jazz and just have a good time. That's what I'm doing for my birthday this year.
Oh,
We
that'll be
also do that
nice.
down in Miami. We go to South Beach, and then I usually do a couple of overseas trips. I last year I went to Bulgaria and Romania,
How was
and
that?
it was good. I actually got invited to speak at an event in Bulgaria with 1,000 people from like 10 different countries, and
Wow.
so I made it into a vacation and also the business trip. It was a non-paid trip, but they paid for my expenses. And
Yeah.
then my mother's mother is from Romania, and I'd never been there, and so I've always wanted to go. And so I took a few days after that and took a flight up to Bucharest, Romania, and
Okay.
it was communist back in '89 and before, and they still have you still feel the repression, but it's very beautiful. But there's a lot of really interesting things to see there, and the people are very nice, but they don't smile.
Really?
The older people especially don't smile because they grew up in communism where you don't
Yeah.
smile.
Well,
The
yeah,
younger
89
people,
was not long ago. That was not long
no,
ago.
and the younger people that were born under in a free world, they appreciate their freedom. It's a different mindset. So it was a very interesting trip. Not a place that I probably would go back to visit for a vacation. But every
Yeah.
year I go to, I've been all over the world. There's places I haven't been, but I've been all over the world and gotten to see some really cool things and have some unbelievable experiences.
That's awesome. I'm sure you met some really
Yeah,
great people along the way too.
I have. I have. Yes.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to leave us with or any questions you have for us?
No, Aubrey, I would say just keep dreaming, and if you find yourself in a rut, like everybody has that every a couple times a year at least where you're in a real serious rut. Most people do.
Yeah.
I recommend if you can shut things off for a few days and go somewhere inspiring with a blank journal and just start journaling, writing out your future. Write down what you want your future to look like. You'll come back refreshed, you'll come back excited, you'll come back with a new perspective. And I think it's important to do that. And I just want to thank you for giving me this platform to be able to say hi to some new people and including me in your podcast and your show.
Yeah, I so appreciate your time. You are incredible, and I aspire to be more like you each day. But I'll see you
On
tomorrow. And again, everyone subscribe here. This is Spicy Takes and Tax Breaks, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Take care. Thank you.